today is BAME over? Is it time that we stopped using the term BAME? And I know that there's been lots of discussions about this, particularly in the media, in the arts, but also in your own sector as well, housing. And so it'd be really interesting to discuss whether or not this is an outdated term. Is it a term that groups everybody together and makes our differences invisible? When Theresa May came into power some years ago, she wanted to put out those burning injustices. Does using the term BAME actually not allow us to do that by grouping everyone together? We are individuals, and again, does the term BAME actually not recognise that? And just for clarity, I should actually say what the acronym stands for before we begin. So the acronym BAME stands for Black, Asian, Minority, Ethnic. So it'd be very interesting to discuss that. And there's also BME, which is Black, Minority, Ethnic as well.
So which was where Bieneosa started. Now, in the creative and cultural sector, BAME is being phased out rather swiftly as a result of a statement that we created. And what sits behind it is why people use this term and when they use this term. And in a nutshell, we noticed that when BAME was being used, it was often being used to talk about disadvantage or a lack of opportunity or some other outcome, which was usually the result of being oppressed. It's a term of recognising oppression and disadvantage. Lewis Hamilton has never been called a BAME racing driver in his entire career. President Obama has never been called a BAME leader.
BAME is not used in this office, it's not used in our output. It was at the very beginning, I'll be honest, 2 years ago when we set up the company, it was used then. But now, as Amanda said, we evolve, we learn something else, just like pronouns and sticking them at the bottom of your email. And even LinkedIn's pushed out a new update now where the pronoun sits on your LinkedIn profile. Nobody's up in arms about that anymore. They're up in arms about bloody Sainsbury's advert, but not about LinkedIn. So I think, we've moved on with it. We've made sure now that, inclusion and exclusion list is now the industry's term. Means exactly the same thing.
A lot of the discrimination that we talk about, I think BAME and BME, etc., are not terms that we should be using, because I think discrimination is on grounds of class, socioeconomic status, and I think that's more important as something that we should be reflecting on. I think when the Labour government introduced protected characteristics in 2010, one of the protected characteristics, I know there are some people who are pushing at the time to have class as a protected characteristic, because middle class people get the best deal in terms of housing, education, health, transport. And I think it would have been a real game changer if we'd have had class as one of the protected characteristics. So you could see, if you could make public bodies, even private bodies for that matter, to take class into account when they are developing services and trying to eliminate discrimination on grounds of class. So I think the term has tended to be redundant, but it masks what I think should be a concentration, or our focus, which should be on class and socioeconomic status, which is...
It's a difficult conversation, especially as managing director who's trying to set up a specialist network for Black, Asian, minority, majority senior leaders in the sector. Do I use the term BAME in general conversation? No, I don't. If I was to describe myself, probably describe myself as someone from Nigerian heritage or Black British. But in terms of setting up a group, setting up a network, it's definitely food for thought, something that will obviously need further discussion, which I hope the sector will take on board and continue with it.